All right, welcome everyone. We have a very special guest. Danny Tang is joining us from sunny London. Danny, how are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you, my friend. You are a very hot topic in poker. You're kind of one of those guys that if you look at your Hendon mob or just kind of look and see your ride, that you have come out of literally nowhere into the highest stakes, playing the biggest buy-ins in the world, having a lot of success. So we'll definitely dive in and talk about that. We're actually on the same plane tomorrow. We're going to be flying to over to Sochi together, which is cool. So we'll meet up and be on that flight, which is great. We'll talk about that tournament as well. Let's just start a little bit. For those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you got into poker.
I was born and raised in UK, Wales, actually, North Wales. And I got into poker during my university days in Manchester. And I got pretty hooked quickly. I was like 2 years into, maybe a year and a half. And then I graduated. And I remember I had to fake to my parents that I was going to do a master's. I registered for master's, but I never turned up once. And during that year, I got lucky and came second in one of the WPTs in Nottingham DTD.
Okay.
And that was then I decided to like really, really go pro. And I managed to tell my parents and haven't really looked back since.
Yeah, I'm looking right now actually at it's. I'm not kidding you. I think I've just as you're supposed to be number 50. We had Eric Afriat had to postpone his. He just won his third WPT and he was in a tournament live on day 3. So we pushed it. You were going to be number 50. You won a WSOP bracelet at the 50th WSOP, the 50K buy-in. Correct me if I'm wrong, which is pretty insane. I mean, to win a high roller and win your first bracelet. But I feel like everyone on our almost like 90-something% of the people that I've had on the podcast, their first ever cash on their Hendon mob is a final table. And it looks like that was the same for you. I mean, it was a 9th place. It was a $25. So it's sort of, a 73 entrance. But do you remember that tournament? Do you remember playing your first live, getting your first live cash and hitting a final table? I mean, it was, not like a massive field, but do you remember that?
No, not actually. No, I don't. But I remember the first like real real tournament where I felt like that money was something, like that money was quite significant to me back then, which was the Easter Beast, where I chopped it for I think £8,000.
Okay.
Because I
So
remember
yeah,
it was the Easter Sunday that was the final table being played, and I went home and my house was robbed.
what?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
was it correlation to that tournament score? Or just completely random that you hit like some
I
money and
think it
then
was just completely random, and it was like an Easter Sunday where I was in a student area, so the area was extremely quiet because obviously all the students went home,
right.
and it was just a good spot for those guys to hit, and they hit my house and took my car as well.
They got your camera?
They got my car.
Oh wow. So that's a crazy swing. You go from winning your, a real money, you get 13,000 US into, your car, basically a trade-off. So that's a lot of emotion on a Easter Sunday.
Yeah, I was pretty bummed, but then my car got paid off by the insurance, so that 13,000 US still went straight into my pocket.
All right, so it all
Yeah.
worked out in the end. So all right, so you get a score, you get your beak wet. Were you playing cash games to start, or was it always tournaments for you?
Cash game at the start, definitely. I played the $1, $2, no, £1, £2, the 50p £1 back at 235 Manchester, where I still sometime rock up, whenever I'm back in UK, but not this time. I'm only in London this time. If I was back in Manchester, I'd definitely give 235 or Genting a little visit.
Very nice. And I've read that you play, well, soccer, but football, in the worldwide view. You played in university or through growing up? Was that your sport of
I
choice?
I played through from primary school pretty much. For primary school until did I play it in university? Yeah, I think I played in year one of my university days. And then I got too addicted into clubbing and poker. And then just no more football since then on.
That's basically what same as me. I played till I got into poker and then in university around my freshman year, it was just like that was all I really cared about. I just got so into it. So that was a little different time though for you. So you're how old are you?
I'm 27, almost 28.
27, 28. And is this, I read as well that Charlie Carell, you reached out to for some advice and some help. Is that someone you knew, or just because he was from the UK and doing very well? Are you friendly with him, or what's your connection
No,
there?
I didn't know him personally back then, but you know, what, back then I was just like a huge poker fan, which I still am now. But back then you
Yeah.
would just add some of these guys on Facebook, and hopefully it goes through. And he was one
Right.
of those guys that went through, and he responded to my messages. At the time, he was literally crushing all the live tournaments. He was killing it, and I decided to become a pro, and I thought I would need some help from like someone who's really, really good and really, really young as well. I wanted to follow his footsteps, so I messaged him, and he got back to me, and yeah, we had a few sessions. We have unfinished business as well, but it's okay.
All right. In terms, just from, is he? I haven't heard much. Is he playing a lot now, or no? Or I haven't seen much from
I
him
don't
in the
think he's
recent
playing
bit.
a lot right now.
But yeah, obviously very
No.
talented and had a lot of great
Mm.
results, and has done well, and done some content and streaming and whatnot. Tell me about. All right, let's get, there's so much I want to ask you. Let's just kind of backtrack a bit. So you grow up in Wales. You now go to university. You get into poker. What did your family think of poker, and sibling? You have siblings?
Yeah, I have one brother, one older brother.
One other brother? Any gaming or any kind of poker for him, or what does he think about this? That you're a world star now in poker?
I I think he finds it pretty cool, like I think he was the one who taught me poker, maybe. I remember back then when I had completely no idea, or maybe I play like once a year during Christmas. But
Right.
yeah, I remember my brother brought me to some like home games in Hong Kong, like literally home games, like just between him and his like office colleagues, and yeah,
What game were they playing then? Was it No
the
Limit Hold'em, or what kind of games during that?
yeah, no limit hold'em, no limit hold'em, yeah, no limit hold'em. The my memories are very vague, but yeah, I remember my brother bringing me it, and then it was a while where I didn't really play poker. So, like, he introduced me to the game, but I wasn't hooked straight away. It was like I was in a casino in UK, and then I was playing on games where I shouldn't be playing on, and obviously the roulette and the baccarat or whatever, and I
Yeah.
ended up playing poker, and but even when I played poker back then, I think I got hooked quickly. It was because I was familiar with a little bit of the game already, and it it would cost me so little that I could play for so long.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did read some notes, and saw that you kind of found your way into the casinos. You were losing on table games. You quickly made that adjustment, found poker, and sort of the rest is history. I mean, that's at what point did you realize that this was viable for a career, or for you to do? You kind of, it sounds similar. A lot of us play around college, maybe even high school, kind of get out of college, not really sure exactly what's doing. Poker's going okay, and then you just kind of pursued it. Is that basically what happened? Did you have any other jobs along the way, or was it just out of university right into poker?
I had jobs when I was in college, and I think I had a job during university as well. But it was like being a promoter. It wasn't like a proper job. I never had a proper job since I graduated. It was into poker straight away. And I think
Right.
like after a couple of months into poker, I tried to. So obviously, I'm sure you understand as well. Even in a local casino where they're just playing 1-2, there's still a big table and there's a small table, right? Like the 1-1 is the smaller table, and 1-2 where those guys have like a couple of thousands in their pocket every day. They're supposed to be like the big dogs of the casino, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I think I don't know if you follow MMA. There was a guy back then called Terry. He at one point he was one of the biggest MMA prospect from UK, and he happened to be playing at our local casino. And at
Okay.
the time, he would crush me so hard, like literally, where I have no idea, like why am I playing this game? I would never want to play with this guy. I can imagine myself never being this good enough to be playing against this guy. And then I realized, wow, this game is so skilled that you really could make a living from this. You know,
Right.
that's when I decided to like, okay, I'm gonna try to get better. One day I want to be good enough where I play with this guy. He's not gonna own me.
That's
And yeah, that,
and that. But do you remember a point though? Like, were you playing and you did a little bit of studying, or was it, or like read a book, or were you just like in there and like learning? Oh, the button is good, position. It's nice to be in good position. Bet sizings. Like, did you have a mentor? Were you talking with anyone? How were you learning poker to improve at this stage when you were just kind of progressing at that point?
I think at the time I was just um such a feel player. That's what we like to call it, right? Like a non-GTO guy, where I would just feel, I would have no idea about ranges. I would just be familiar, like, oh, I'm supposed to raise, I guess, less from early position, but more in the later position. But exactly the ranges, the percentages, I would have no idea.
Right.
I didn't really study those until I was maybe like 1 or 2 years into my pro career. That's when I came across Razor Edge, and I did a lot of studying on Razor Edge.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm a big
So what I'm
racer.
trying to say is, you can study Razor Edge and end up playing at the highest stake. It's
Uh,
good enough.
It's true. It's crazy. That clip is hilarious. Also, the Raise Your Edge from the summer house. We were there that day playing some games this last summer in Vegas. But the Raise Your Edge where they the Danny
Rounded, right?
Rounder scene, Danny F and Tang, whoever came up with that is so genius. Like, even when I was saying your
Yeah.
name out loud, like to someone I was doing a pause with Danny, and I just think of that every time. Like, John, you got to watch it. I don't know where it is exactly. It was on their Instagram. I did actually try to search it before if we could pull up the clip, but I think it's somewhere in their Instagram. I couldn't find it on YouTube, but it's an amazing clip. And yeah, a lot of Ben CB, Ben Rowley, obviously super talented, and they just made some big updates to the course. So is that what you would recommend these days to study?
Absolutely.
Take a course, not you.
Absolutely.
It's just not enough to just you want to learn, get a little your beak wet, go to a casino, but you gotta be doing some hardcore work at this point. You can't just expect to win and just hop in.
The thing is, like, you have no one has ever had more access to poker studying materials than now.
Right.
Like, it's so much easier to study now than before. So why would you not, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, some people just aren't built for it and just don't want to put the work in. What would you suggest would be a good work to play ratio if you were to say, let's say a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced? Like, give me on the circuit at the highest level. What do you think guys are putting in on all three categories? What would you recommend to a beginner who has no idea what that really even means? What would you recommend to someone that's playing and getting better and now starting to beat the game a little? And what would you recommend to an advanced player? What kind of work study ratios?
I think for someone who has no idea what poker is, I would suggest, like, I don't know, 98 to 2 play to study ratio, where they would just put in a lot of playing time, where they want to make sure this is like the game for them, like they would enjoy, they'll have the patience to do that.
Yeah.
Where, it, and then eventually where you want to progress, then it becomes a lot more studying, more like, I don't know, 70% studying or 30% playing. And I mean, I say that, but for me, it's been a while since I've studied. I mean, I've studied some short deck, but when you get to a certain point where games are just, really good, you want to really hop in and play. Money is hard to make these days. Poker's not easy these days.
Right. I love how you guys say. I love how players that say short deck or play a lot of short deck refer to no limit hold'em or long deck. I think it's hilarious just because it's almost like implying it's like abnormal or it's longer. It's not. It's long deck meaning no limit hold'em where there's the full 52 cards. Short deck is how many? 36 cards.
36.
36, and that's taking out the 2
Wait,
3.
it could be 39. I don't know, 39 or 36.
No, it's got to be 36. It's got to be an even number, right? It can't be 39.
Yeah, that's true. 36.
36. All right, come on, Danny. Don't yeah. So short deck, and yet you prefer short deck now. Is that true? Or you just it's the more popular game that you're playing generally?
Yeah, do I prefer it? I still think my no limit hold'em, it's a lot better than my short deck, but I've been playing so much short deck recently. I do prefer it.
I've done some commentary on short deck for Triton. I'm going over to Sochi, going to be watching you as well as some of the other top players in the world. Give me a short deck. Give me a trick that I can sound really smart when I'm giving some analysis. And well, let's start with that. What's like a short deck kind of just little quick tidbit, interesting point or something to think about, maybe that if you've heard of short deck, you don't know what it is, what would be good to to know, or some kind of cool fact
Ooh,
or stat? Give me something.
that's
Danny.
really hard. You're never too far behind. Put it that
Okay.
way. You're never too far behind. It
That's
doesn't
good.
matter what that guy's got. Okay.
So if you're aggressive and you have heart and you stick in there, you could win.
Okay, put it that way. I've had middle set against top pair no kicker before against Mr. Popper, and I end up rebuying that tournament. Okay,
Oh,
we
wow.
got it in on the flop. On the flop.
And that's not like
You know,
insane. That's not insane.
in no limit hold'em, you just start grabbing the chips. You know, you just start putting the chips in your stack already. But not in short deck, you don't. You want to see that turn, and a lot of the turns you're gonna be like, oh, here we go. You're gonna roll your eyes, and yes, the river it comes, and then you stand up and go rebuy.
That's hilarious. Yeah, it's I'm learning. I mean, it seems like a really fun game. I've played a bit, but definitely, don't feel like I know exactly what's going on. Now, explain to me in No Limit Hold'em. There's been Big Blind Ante, there's been shot clocks, there's been innovations to make the game smoother, quicker. I noticed from watching some three-handed and doing, watching. Actually, I saw some just world-class play as well in the short deck. I think at Triton for the main event short deck. The name's going to elude me here, but a couple of players that just were like, it was insane to me how well and what kind of folds they were making and spots, which again, I guess not knowing short deck as well, maybe it's not quite as crazy, but how can you make short deck? Are there any innovations or any ways they're making the tournament game different? Because it's very exciting, it's fun, but it seems to be people in the short deck in general, it plays pretty aggressive, right? Guys gamble, they're going all in, they're trying to get stacks, and then at the end, it's so deep and there's no ante, correct? Or is there now? And in what ways is there any improvements, or has there been any changes to make short deck tournaments more kind of fast towards the end, or to speed it up? Or has there been any changes since it started that you've noticed on the tour, where the short deck tournaments a structural change or something, or any thoughts on that? Or is it just the same?
I'm pretty sure there is NT though, but I understand what you mean by it plays pretty deep. Personally, I'm pretty inexperienced when it comes to short deck tournaments. I think I've made like one final table in my or maybe two in my entire career where I didn't see the problem of being played too slow or anything like that. I've been playing majority of short deck cash games, and I think it's been fine. But maybe I'm sure there's a lot more work to be done for short deck, because like I feel like a lot of people are not aware of how short deck like final table plays compared to like No Limit Hold'em,
Right. Yeah, and give us a little bit of a nuanced difference with how you want to play. Is it true you'd want to be tighter at the end, kind of like with the ICM and stuff, just because of the
let's say on the bubble factor, like literally, where you would be extremely aggressive in No Limit Hold'em on the bubble anyway, but you could be, I think, literally going all in with any two when it comes to short deck. Pretty
just
much.
because of
I
that,
mean, I think there could be some players could be arguing against this, in the world, but like it makes sense, right? Even Jack 6 is almost the worst hand in short deck, and it still has like equity again, decent amount of equity even against like aces, So like pretty much.
So basically, if you have chips and you cover, you want to just rip it on people almost in some sense.
A lot
of pressure.
Yeah, pretty much. Like it's hard to like really go into it, but I feel like Sochi is going to be a good stop where you're going to see maybe it's short deck 2.0 or maybe 3.0, where it's been a while since the last Triton, right? And now it's back. Well, it's not really back because it's not a Triton stop technically, but yeah, it's been a while since some big high stake short deck's been played. And I'm excited to see how short deck has progressed in terms of like strategy wise from players around the world.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's going to be a really amazing event. Anything in particular, the main event? Talk to me a little bit about that schedule for Sochi. How do you feel about that? And what events do you most?
Funny enough, I messaged Neil this morning, but I haven't looked at the schedule yet. But I think there's a couple of like 50K short deck. There's a 250K super high roller boat, right? I haven't completely looked at the schedule. Maybe you would know more, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean the 250K main is pretty exciting. Obviously, that's the featured event, and there's it's just gonna be world class all around, just production and really exciting. have you noticed you've been traveling a lot? I keep up with you on the socials. You've been busy. You're a young man traveling the world. I believe you have a serious girlfriend, but not engaged yet, right?
That's correct.
Or,
And today happened to be our anniversary as well.
oh, wow. Well, nice. Very nice. Congrats. I met her.
But I'm not with her. I'm not with her. So I would like to say sorry on the podcast right now.
All right, no, for sure. Please, it's a platform for repair and healing on those things. So that's good. I met her in London at the Triton. She seemed very lovely. So congrats on that moving that direction on into. I think I read you're open to you want to have a family, kids one day. That's something
For sure.
Like.
For sure.
That's awesome. And get it in, man. I got my 10-month-old. I'm telling you, I'm 33. It's a little different. I was traveling, doing the things. It's a great time. It's fun. I mean, I'm going to Sochi today, but it gets harder, as you know. You want to get it in and have a good time and do your, world traveling now. So with how is that? How is she supportive and what percent does she travel with you and stuff on like events and whatnot? Is she always saying go play and do this, or is it kind of like, do you find it difficult to balance with being a professional poker player and having a serious committed relationship?
We have not really been seeing each other as of late, so yeah. I mean, so first it was because of the poker, and then afterwards it was because of the coronavirus where.
Oh, that's what I'm asking as well. Yes. How has that been with the travels? And are you noticing people like getting a little wary that you're traveling with, or everyone kind of like, what's the overall take on that? Do you feel it's overblown?
I've been one of the like small population who's been lucky enough to just, okay, there's coronavirus. Let's get out of here. Let's just go somewhere. Elton, who's also a super high stakes guy from Hong Kong, just one day gave me a call and he was like, yo, you want to go? Let's go on holiday. And then we just decided to like start jetting everywhere. We end up going to Japan. We went to Jakarta. We went to Bali. We went to Malaysia, and now I'm in London.
Right. So you've been rolling around, but have you noticed in the airports or just around when you're out in the streets and places, are people wearing masks where you've been, and is it a little more you noticing stuff or not really? Because I haven't been traveling much, so I don't really have that airport feel. I'm gonna get it tomorrow, but what's your sense on that? Does it feel different? Like, does it feel kind of weird or just same old?
Yeah, we're fully aware that airports are extremely one of the most dangerous destinations right now. So we decided to fly private,
right?
So just to avoid this, right? And yeah, we have been keeping like hand sanitizers on us. We wear masks, but literally the places that we've been going to have had so little cases. Like back then when we were at Hokkaido, Natsuko, at the time there was only one cases, and then when we were lucky enough that when we got out, like within a week the cases went up, and we touch wood, like the whole group has been safe. And Malaysia also, like when we were there, I think it was like 22 confirmed cases and 21 of them all recovered. So yeah, like the coronavirus has not really been a huge thing for our group. But like I would hope it all settle down soon around the world.
Yeah, it's I mean they're talking to you, the Olympics, which are in Tokyo, are a favorite to be canceled, postponed, or moved.
I think the European Cup as well, right?
Yeah, I mean I heard in Italy they're playing Serie A games. The top league there, they're playing indoor or closed off, where there's no stadium audience and stuff like so. It's definitely impacting the world. The World Series of Poker, people are chirping about the fact that it might be canceled and even a favorite or not. So what do you think on that? If you had to bet, if you're a betting man, World Series of Poker.
I saw, who was it? Was it Doug Polk who was offering some action, right? Yeah, I was tempted. I think, did Dan Smith get his bet booked or not?
I didn't, I just saw some chirping back and forth. I didn't follow up. I had a couple people, I had people ask me if I would vouch for them for Bill Perkins, like to make a bet. And I'm just like, listen, I actually personally don't like betting on these type of things, like marriage, divorce, like viruses, people. I saw there's someone mentioned that Dan O'Brien, who I like a lot, was betting if we would know someone that in the poker world that would die from the coronavirus, like that kind of stuff. It just gets a little weird, right? It's kind of like, what do you?
Yeah, that's not cool,
right?
But
Yeah.
But the WSOP being cancelled or not cancelled, I think that would be an interesting thing. Like, it doesn't really, like, no lives is on the line, right? But I mean, if we bet against someone that we know dies off, I think that's a terrible thing.
Yeah,
I would
but
never
also at the
consider doing that.
WSOP, I mean, I'll tell you what, if it is canceled, it's a pretty bad sign. You know, we're talking about June.
Yeah,
By that point, it means that things have gotten probably worse. It's not really sorted, and it's sort of
yeah, that's true.
concerning. So I don't, but
That's true.
but yeah, it seems unlikely that could happen. But these things happen exponentially or not, right? It's either going to get sorted and contained, or it's going to be a bigger problem, and people get a little worried.
Yeah.
Speaking of WSOP, let's run through your career just to take us up to that point. So you were a player again. You kind of broke out really out of nowhere. You're playing in 2013 some live. You hit a 50K score, nice score from a 500 buy-in, which is a really nice ROI. You then fast forward and you get that second place at the Nottingham. That is Rob Young and Party Poker's Casino. You hit the 130K score, really, really big uptick there. What was that like? Was that a game changer for you in your career, hitting that 6-figure payday and getting that ROI huge on a 1K buy-in? What was that like for you and the turning point?
Yeah, that was unbelievable. You know, that was unbelievable because that was the tournament that I was referring to. That basically I decided to go pro, and like, I think this is just a platform that I managed to have that I can say thank you to some of the people that really supported me before I even turned pro. I'm one of them who's not with us anymore, and I think,
Danny,
I think
hold on 1 second. We're gonna got a fire alarm test going on. I want to hear about this score because I always like to hear about like the moment that kind of that broke you open. So sorry, redo that for me. Okay, you hit the score, $130,000 score, and what did this mean for you in your career, and how is this such a big turning point?
it was huge because I happened to have like a decent share from that 130K as well. So it, like, at the time, I remember putting the check into my bank. It was like a huge amount of money, and it just gave a lot of the people who supported me back then like some money back as well, where, you know, they could. I was short at the time. They could continue to invest in me. So which means the road for my pro career would be somewhat easier, you know. And one of the guys that helped me throughout, like, he's not with us anymore, which is a shame. I think he passed away not long after that tournament as well, which was kind of annoying. I just want to give him a shout out. Frankie from DTD. I'm sure all the Nottingham UK guys would know him. Chinese Frankie, you know, he treated me one of his own. I still got all his like text messages on my phone where I just, you know, backed up where, yeah, I would like to just give him a shout out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Sad, but that's that he was just someone you knew from when you were the first times you were going there.
Yeah, like he was an Asian and I was an Asian. I went into the casino and we quickly got chatting, and he just treated me like I was one of his own. So yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, that's it's important to have people in poker that are good mentors, good friends that you can trust, and that's, I think, you know, that's something that people get pushed into, can kind of sway them, right? Like if you have a bad experience or someone does you wrong or cheats you or is dishonest to you or misleads you early on when you're kind of trying poker, that can be a big difference than if you have someone that's really got your back, shows you some good, you know, shows you the way, gives you some encouragement and gives good advice. So yeah, it's great to have people that push you on the right direction. So that's great to hear that you had that to start. So, all right. So you hit that score, you kind of, you keep it going, you know, you're playing, you get some tournament scores. At this point, once you hit that score, were you mostly tournaments or were you still playing cash? And did you play online or was it all live for you?
It was almost all live for me. I almost didn't really play. I never had like an online grinding days where I was grinding online like week in, week out, day in, day out. I think I played a bit more online during the Natural 8 days where Natural 8 was really coming up, and they had those like Blade series where I started playing more and more online. But no, like in terms of party poker and poker stars, not really.
Fair. So, all right. So you got the live, you just been through and through live primarily. Tell me where it went from there. So you have, I mean, look, it's better. You get 130K score. This is summer 2016. You know, fast forward to so you're playing a lot. Looks like you're traveling. I'm seeing different flags, Hendon mobs. You're going to the World Series. You're in Japan. You're in Macau. You're back in London. You're in Australia. When did Danny become high roller Danny? Because I'm looking all already. Summer of 2017, even you don't have another 6-figure score for a while, and then you have another in like October 2017, 130K score, and then you followed up with a nice score, and then a big one in the poker at Prague, December, the end of 2017. You know, you get that right before the holiday season. Everything kind of winds down. Christmas time, New Year's. There's not, you know, that's the last period. So that's got to feel pretty incredible to bank that your significantly your largest score and get that bank. What was that like to hit that kind of score?
Yeah, I was having kind of a bad year at the time in terms of tournaments, but by then I already moved back to Asia. I would say permanently, pretty much, and I met some like really cool people, the likes of like Sparrow, Ensign, Ivan, Winfred. You know, I met those guys, and I think by then I already signed with Tilt King, so I had some ambassador money as well. Um, but yeah, like they knew I came back from Europe and I had some little scores. I had a WSOP final table, and quickly they believed in me and let me play some bigger buy-ins. Where the 130K in October, I think that one was the one where Adrian Mateos won, and I came third. So that gave me some like confident boost going into like towards the end of the year where it was the second time I was going back to Prague because I won. I remember the first time I went to Prague, I was having a disaster of a tour like series again, and then at the end I had a trip saver where I won 50K, and that was like 100% action as well. So that was great. And then, so yeah, I was really excited to go back to Prague, and I remember like I was walking around looking at the 10K field, and I wasn't sure if I should play or not. It was one of the biggest 10, like it was like a great 10K where there was like a lot of runners, and I remember I ran into JC. James, Mexican JC.
JC Alvarado.
Yeah, I could never pronounce his surname, so I didn't want to try. But yeah, he was like, "What's up, Danny? What you doing?" And I was like, "I was thinking about playing the 10K or not." And at the time, I already played a little bit with him in Macau, where he would hang out in Macau and play some of those like 8K high rollers, 10K high rollers, you know. And in Macau, I would have no problem playing. I would just play, but that was EPT 10K high roller. So that was like for me, I wasn't sure. I was still thinking, and he was like, "Bro, look at it. You need to play." And I was like, "All right, fair enough. Like you tell me, I should be playing. I go, then I just register, and that was it." And he ended up in day 3 with me. And I remember we had a steak swap as well, where whoever wins would treat the other guy dinner. And I think I still owe him that steak.
All right. Well, you
Yeah,
know, it's still.
I don't see him that often anymore. You know, but yeah,
I got a couple dinners to collect too. It's good to keep or to pay out. You got to keep track and for sure people around. So you hit that massive score. You just got to be on top of the world going to the holidays. You know, it's nice to win, right? Even taking second, you got the trophy. Looks like you might have made a deal based on the payouts, but you got the win. Yeah. You get the big lion's share. And so now, I mean, how did this take you to a new point? Because I mean, it looks like you're and just kind of scrolling through here, you hit the 488 or what is it, 448 score, and then you're back 2018 deep run in the main event. What was that like in 2018 to go so deep in the main event? I mean, 7,874 entrants, you end up getting 31st. How I mean, that's just crazy, right? You're down to 4 tables in the main event. What was that experience like?
Oh man, I remember that was the main event where I played with like some of the guys where I was just looking up and like looking on YouTube and Poker After Dark back in the days, where I played with Phil Ivey on day 2. I played with Esfandiari on day 4, where he wanted revenge for his wife because I stacked his wife on day 3. And yeah, I remember I 5-bet went all in with ace queen against him, and he had kings, and I flopped an ace and he turned a king, and he got up and ran barefooted around the tables, and it was just a great time. Like, but that week at the time, I wouldn't think it was so intense, but it also went so fast. You know, I remember I had a housemate, Natalie Ter, who also ran relatively deep that year. I think maybe she finished like 100th or something. So
Okay.
every day so at the first day, the whole crew would Uber from the house to Rio, and then day by day it got less of us, and
Mm.
at the end it was just me and Natalie, and the very last day it was just by myself. And I remember like it's just it's just such a good experience, you know. It's like it has to be the best event to run deep in,
Yeah.
and eventually I lost a really sick one with Queens against the biggest nit ever. Like I don't know why he just suddenly decided to like raise 4-bet jam with King Jack suited, and he flopped the Jack, rivered the Jack, and then it left me with like almost nothing.
Oh,
And
you lost Queens to King Jack for most of your stack pre in the main with 31 left.
yeah,
Damn. And
against the biggest nit who like just he doesn't do stuff like that ever.
well, that
You know?
maybe he does. Maybe he's got some tricks. That's
No, we've been watch. I had guys watching the stream like all over, and
it's,
he had it every time.
he just
But
spazzed
just that
out
time,
into you.
yes,
It's so sad. How many
yes.
blinds was it? How many you would have? I mean, it must have been. You had
Oh,
him
it
covered.
was a lot. Yeah, I think he must have had like 30 something, and I had like 40. So it was like a 75 big line anti pot, 75 big line pot with
Wow.
30 left in the main event. And I remember that was the year where John Cena won, and at the time John Cena didn't have much chips as well.
That's funny, right? Like that's how it works. It's just you're in there, anything can happen. You hear about the two
Yeah,
blinds, Joe Cotta or Greg Merson and different stages, and it's just like never over till it's
yeah,
over.
yeah.
It is wild, and
Awesome.
we all play tournaments in poker. If you play tournament poker, it happens a lot. You lose ace king to ace queen. You lose jacks to to fours.
Yeah.
It happens, right? This math 80-20s, 2-1, 70-30s. It's just so crazy how the variance of these kind of events is it in a 1K, is it in a $100 freeze out online, or is it in the main event? And when are you going to run pure? How do you prepare for the mental side of the game? Do you do meditation? Do you try to work out daily? Do you find yourself to be a strong mental player in terms of dealing with beats and adversity, or how do you deal with all that, the mental side?
I just kind of went from like mistakes to the highest stake at one point where, at first I was playing, one or two good players, some, here and there. But all of a sudden I had a table where I remember one day it was like Igor Kurganov, Makita, Linus Love, Hecklin, Lucas Greenwood, and I think it was me. So playing six packs in this.
Sounds like a
Yeah. And I just had to like breathe and tell myself, right, I can compete with these guys, like don't let their name throw me off, like we all got two cards, we all have a brain. I've done my work, they've done their work, maybe they've done more work, maybe they're more talented, but you know what, you just gotta believe in yourself and play the game,
Yeah, and maybe it's somewhat of an advantage for you as well because you're aware of them, or
exactly. Like I'm like a dark horse. They have no idea.
They don't know. Are you playing tight? Are you wild? Like they literally don't know.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but that year of the main event where I ran deep, like something very good happened. I was left with almost no chips, and I went and I think it was like no chips, but it was like maybe like 6 big blinds or something, or 7 big blinds. And then under the gun raised, and I still went all in. I think it was like ace, I don't know, ace 6 off, ace 7 off, where it was wrong. I remember it was wrong, but it was straight after the queen's hand where I was a little bit beat it up. I was like, I kind of just gave up, I didn't regroup. I drank a whole bottle of water on stage on the mainstream, and I didn't really regroup, and I just like went with my last 6 big blinds, and that taught me a lesson because afterwards I remember Kitty Quote was like, yo, I don't think that was an all-in. And at the time, I was so focused on my queens losing instead of my whatever 6 big blind left. Yeah, that taught me a lesson where short, I need to put a lot more work onto my short stack. Not only that, but also my mental side of the game where anything could happen at any given time. So, not take nothing for granted, and you just got to take what's given to you,
For sure. I mean, that's I work with Elliot Rowe, who I think is fantastic, but that's big thing talks about every hand's a puzzle, right? It's just like, all right, new situation. Doesn't matter if he had kings and you had queens, you should treat it's whatever, right? It is what it is. You lose the hand, now you have 6, 7 blinds and you're in the main event with 30 left. But obviously you have a strong mental fortitude to be able to compete at the highest level in poker, you have to have thick skin. You have to be able to take beats. You have to be able to regroup. And it's important to always be learning. I mean, I think we all would be lying if we said we didn't play hands incorrectly or make mistakes or get emotional at times and spots. It's just natural. And it's just part of the game. Speaking of natural, tell me about Natural 8. You are an ambassador for. How did that come about, and what does that mean for you?
Natural 8, they signed me this last summer, like a couple of days before I won the bracelet. So I think they, lucky signing right there. I signed and I just somehow won the bracelet. But yeah, I'm extremely, at the time, extremely excited to join the family. They have some very big names, the likes of like Kitty Quo, Brian Paris, Michael Soider. So yeah, I was extremely happy. But I'm not gonna, as a when you're coming up as a poker pro, you always thought about signing for like the likes of like Poker Stars. When you look at the people like Vanessa Selpt back then, Elke, those guys where you would just like really hope, oh, one day I could be like one of those ambassadors. And I really believe that Natural 8 has the potential to go all the way up and be a real competitor to the likes of like the big names such as PokerStars and Party Poker. And I think even on the podcast I can say that I think Natural 8 knows that. At one point I was waiting out for Party Poker to come to Asia and find a pro, and I thought maybe I would be one of the candidates. But they never did that, and still they still haven't done that, which I'm quite surprised.
Well, it's interesting, the marketplace there and just in general. Give me a little bit of insight on what it's like, because it does seem that in China it's Twitch. There's not even a Twitch, right? They have their own platform, or there's different there are different Facebooks. There's different poker things. What is it like from your experience in China, Hong Kong, these places where players aren't really able to play on these major sites, sort of like the States too, right? Most states you can't play, or it's segregated anyway. So what are people doing to play online poker there? Is it mostly apps? Are they playing these other sites? How does it work?
I think it's majority apps and it's majority cash games as well. I feel like people are not as interested in tournaments, whereas like, I don't know, I personally don't really play much on those apps. But for example, Natural 8, we would have like another skin for that, and other people would cover that area of the world. But yeah, like people who would play Poker Stars are some of the better players from that region that would only try to play Poker Stars. Otherwise, they'll play on like some smaller apps where it's like completely the whole field is China, Asians or even. But yeah, like people who would play on Poker Stars are the ones that really challenge themselves,
Right. Makes a lot of sense. See a question here in the live chat from Paul's T asking, what are the big differences between live mid stakes and live high stakes and live nosebleeds? What is the best way to grow from mid stakes and nosebleeds?
Put that question for you. Honestly, like I would personally say sometimes it's not just about how good you are. It's the opportunity you have been given, and would you take it or would you leave it? Like I've always said this, right? A 10K or let's say a 10K or a 25K may not be softer than a 50K or 100K sometimes in terms of tournaments. Because I feel like a lot of people are extremely careful with their bankroll management. Not that I'm saying that they shouldn't be. I think it's extremely important, but there's a lot of regs who like try not to take shots. They would play it safe a lot more, and so there's a lot more regs in 10Ks and 25Ks. Whereas in 50K, 100Ks, you usually get some sort of VIPs, and the field is a lot smaller, so the variance is a lot smaller, and obviously the best. But if you think about it, the best in the world, the likes of like, let's say, I don't know, Makita, Sam Greenwood, you would see them in the 10K or 100K anyway, But some of these very, very good players that only plays the 10K but not the 100K. I don't want to start naming people, but yeah, like I think.
Right. That makes it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and I'm with you on that. I think that's an interesting way to look at it. I do. So let's go back here before we just kind of catch up to speed on your career. So you next year, same thing. Looks like you have a couple scores. You're bouncing around, you hit a 6-figure score in Spain, Barcelona. You get back to your stop. This is it in Prague. That's the stop you're not going to miss. You hit another good run, Final Four, good score to end the year. That's just. Is there some? Do you believe in that? It just seems some guys you see win the same event. It's insane. Mike Leah and the Niagara, the 1K, won like 3 or 4 years in like 1,000-person fields, and then he wins the main event. Like it's the crazy. Like you do well here. Do you feel? Are you superstitious at all? Do you feel certain venues feel more comfortable?
Absolutely, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I would never thought about missing Prague, but this year I'm not sure. My career is like pointing in different direction these days. So, but yeah, if I could, I would definitely try to go back to Prague. Like Prague has been absolutely too nice to me.
All right. So you go there. We're in 2019. Nothing to write home about. You're around. You're hitting the stops. You're having fun. You're traveling, and then boom, you go 179K. Wow. So wait, this was this is where Danny Tang becomes Danny effing Tang, because you hit 179K score, and then you get second to Bryn, the man, the myth, for 1.8 million. I mean, talk about leveling up. What was this like? This is 31 entries, 44 or 31 reentries, so really like 70. What was going on here in this tournament? So this is about 100K buy-in, or no? Or is this a little more? Hong Kong, 125K roughly, US.
Yeah, around that.
So you get heads up. I mean, 1.8 million. What's going on here? What are you thinking?
So let's go back at the start of the year for 2019, where I went to Australia, and it's usually, Australia, when you have stops where you're really excited to, like, you feel like, okay, I've always done well here. I hope I'm going to do well. And then there's stops, which is like Australia, where I've never really done well ever.
Okay.
And I'd won something in Australia for once. And what it made me think back was Michael Zoider, who's a close friend of mine, he did well in Australia, 2018. Okay, I think he won, or he came second to like Chance Corner for something. I don't remember. And then he had a crazy year where he rocketed like sky high. And then I won something in Australia. I was thinking, wait, is this going to be my year this time?
Right.
Like, is it? And then I think I won something small again in the next month or so. I don't really remember. And then I played online, where I won an online main event for, I think it was like 80K, which was still good, like $500 tournament, and then you get 80K out of it. It's pretty cool. Yeah. And I just had a lot of confidence, and I remember getting extremely sick. I already had plans to go to Triton, because a friend was gonna like introduce me to like to Paul, to Richard, and those guys, and I already had plans. But then I got really sick. Like I think it was like 2 weeks before Triton. I don't even know what's it called, but yeah, I was in hospital. I'm never in hospital, like touchwood. I'm never in hospital, and I had to stay in the hospital for like 4 days, and the doctor would like not recommend me to fly. And I remember in the room I was by myself, and the sun was setting. It's like such a story. I got a coin out and I flipped it, and I was like, am I gonna like go to Triton or not? I flipped it, and it says go, But at the back of my mind, I was still thinking like, do I go? Do I not go? And I was just scrolling through Facebook, because you got nothing to do in the hospital, And there was an article talking about, I don't know what to call, but where Chinese, there's like 12 animals for each.
Yeah.
What's that called?
Yeah, the Chinese calendar, the New Year, Chinese New, like
yeah.
Your sign. I'm a tiger. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm a monkey. Okay.
All right.
And I remember reading that article. In May and June and July, you're going to have some quick money for monkey. And I was like, wow, okay, I need to go. And I really went. And then I remember turning up and seeing all the biggest guys, the best players in the world. It was super exciting. And I remember Sam Greenwood had Queen 10 suited, and he called 4 jammed into my aces, and he just took me out of that, and I was very disappointed. But then I cashed to 50K, and I remember after I cashed to 50K, the pressure off my was lifted off my shoulder. I was thinking, okay, I could still lose for this trip, but at least I got at least I know I came to Montenegro and I done something.
I'm funny like that too. It's nice to get out, like even if it's a 1K buy-in and I'm playing a 25K or even a bigger event. It's like it's nice to just like know you were there, because if it doesn't happen on the Hendon Mob, it never happened, right? It's like, oh, what'd you do in May of 2018? Well, you didn't have a cash, like you weren't. Did you even go, or where was I? So I'm with you. It's kind of nice to just like acclimate and feel like you were a part of the event. So I get that. And then what? So you get heads up, you get down, you go to the final table, and now you're heads up with Bryn Kinney for playing for $1 million difference, but already lock up 1.8. Well, I mean, what's going through your head? And do you guys talk deal? Are you just having fun? How does that? What goes on once you get to heads up?
No, that was just the 50K first, and then there was
the next one. I know. I'm here. I'm with you.
Yeah. So, I remember I didn't register the tournament until like 2 levels left for the day. For day one, for 100K. This is my first 100K, and I late registered. I think it was a little bit of me was thinking, there's no need to play so deep with these guys, right? Let's not get my ego in the way. Okay, let's do the sensible thing. Go in when I'm fresh. Like I have had good enough rest, and I go in and I somehow bag the chip lead.
Wow.
In 2 levels, and I had 230 big blinds going into day 2, and then day 2 I lost. That day 2 was the table where I told you earlier, where I had Makita, Linus, Hecklin, and all those guys, and it was proven. I lost a lot of my chips on day 2, but I still grinded, and I picked up aces on the Stone Cold Bubble, where I somehow managed to survive it. And against Alex Foxton's kings and Mr. Paul's ace king, I was super blessed. I feel like it was just meant to be. That tournament was supposed to let the world know.
That was
I was supposed to be there.
Take it to the next level.
Yeah.
So how would happen heads up? Does Brent, like in a situation like that, it depends, or do you even talk deal? Do you just play it out? And there's
I was pretty short. Like me and Peter Jensen was pretty short, so there wasn't any talking necessary, and I didn't really double up from there.
I see that Bryn won that event. He actually, the one you final tabled, the one right before the 50K event, he won. I mean, it's pretty safe to say this was Bryn's summer, and what he did at Triton as well. But
absolutely.
Tell me what you think about. Give me, I don't want to run by individually. Obviously, Richard Young, Paul Pois, they play a ton of poker. They have unbelievable results. They talk. They live, breathe poker. I remember sitting with Paul at Triton, and he had just busted, I think, 4th or something in a tournament, or in maybe a short deck. And he was watching, and like in his head, like, oh, I could have done this. He was saying I could have done this better. He's like reviewing the hands. He's just such like a student of the game and loves it. But from that side, those guys that are successful businessmen, they're not poker pros, very talented players. What about the guys like you're battling with, Bryn Kinney, Jason Kuhn, Sergio Ado, these guys that these same kind of hero guys that are playing? How good are they? I mean, are they just incredible players? Like, is it like you see how? Is it obvious to you right away who's great when you play? One sec. Got a fire alarm. Do you speak Spanish? I don't know what they're saying, but it sounds important.
Nobody.
No.
You shouldn't be running or like leaving stuff behind.
No, it's like a test thing. It's annoying. They do the thing. One sec. This can get edited out on the podcast version, not on YouTube.
It's all good.
Spanish dominant. That's what they put first, as the Spanish. They don't even like I'm the minority in Florida here. I don't know if this is over or what. This could be bad. Danny, we might have a slight pause here. I even forgot what I was saying, but I think I'm asking about these world-class players. What's it like, the mix between businessmen, who I feel play excellent, a lot of them, and then the pros? Like, is it becoming more tight, where it's like, all right, this, before these guys might think they're a spot, now they're just really, really good? Because the guys, though, the pros are just so dominant, right? I mean, they're so tough. Is it?
Yeah.
Where do you stand on that? Like the mix?
I think the businessmen are definitely catching up quickly. You know, a lot. The thing is, a lot of them are very good friends with some of the best players in the world. You know, like, okay, I'm not saying personally I'm one of the best in the world, but let's say myself, me and
Yeah,
Paul has a very close relationship right now, and you know, we would always talk poker together, and he's constantly getting better, and then I would get a rough idea of like how VIP thinks about the game also, you know. And
right.
I've always said to him, him and Kerry Katz are two fake VIPs, you know. They're
Yeah.
not VIPs. You see them in the field, it doesn't actually encourage you that much to want to join the tournament, you know.
No,
Like
no, man.
obviously,
Dude, look at Kerry Katz's Hendon Mob. Look at Paul's Hendon Mob. I mean, these guys are they're playing like shorter fields, bigger buy-ins, but like they're crushing. I mean, Kerry Katz Hendon
yeah.
Mob is like the most
Like
ridiculous thing I've
so
ever seen. They're not. He's not fooling
yeah,
me.
like so this year the Triton Player of the Year has been introduced. But if it was there last year, Paul would have won it. Paul would have been Triton Player of the Year, you know, amongst all the best in the world. He would
Yeah,
have been
crazy.
Player of the Year, you know. So there you go.
I was
Like,
so excited to go to Korea. I was going there and going to be doing the commentary, and it was like I've never been to South Korea, and then this this unfortunately for the event, of course, safety first and just taking precautions. It got delayed, and who knows?
mm,
Don't even know now what's going on with that. And I did see that Triton Player of the Year, so that's kind of fun, right? Get to shoot for that. It's prestigious. You know,
yeah,
it's cool.
yeah. I don't want to be giving anything away, but I'm gonna tease some of the fans. You know, there might be a new stop,
Ooh,
maybe.
maybe a new stop. All right, I like that. I think I might have caught wind of a bit of that as well, but I don't know. Yeah, no confirmations, and who knows right
Yeah.
now what's going on. I mean, if the World Series is canceled, if the Montenegro date, I hope that event goes on. It's just unclear what's happening at the moment with everything, but no, it's fun stuff. So all right, so let's go. I want to take questions as well. We had a lot. You got a lot of people very curious on your rise and kind of coming out of nowhere, but then you hit this bink, and then you just don't wait long because it's May of you hit your kind of massive score, and then you just come right into the 50th WSOP and you win the 50K for a whopping 1.6 million. What was that like? I mean, how does that feel? Just go from bucket list to bucket list, get the bracelet, win not just the WSOP event, but the 50K in the 50th WSOP. We talked, I think, either right. No, it must have been right after. We did a little YouTube segment, but I think you had just won that. What was that like for you? How did that feel? I mean, that's just got to be like the ultimate dream.
I feel like that was the tournament where I really may have been playing my best performance yet. Like it's such a cliche, right? You know, because I obviously won the tournament as well. So, but it was by then where I had some kind of experience with some of these best guys in the world now, and I really get to like come up with like a strategy or like a game plan of like how to play it against what hands, like and just really try to adapt to the game. And I'm more daring, you know. It's not my first time in high stakes anymore. I'm more daring. I'm trying to play my own game now, you know. And I took it day by day. And I remember they at the end of day two, I think I made a post on Instagram where, I remember like during the break we were playing in the what's that area called? You know the
Kings.
wait, no, the what room is that where the main event is usually played and also the main stage. It's in
Oh,
the corner.
not Brasilia, Miranda. I know what you're
What's it
talking
called?
about. Okay, so I know exactly what you're saying.
Amazon.
Amazon. Shout out to Brazil.
Yes,
Yes.
Amazon. And it was like next to the basketball court. And I remember during the break, I was walking, and in front of me, it was literally all the current best guys in the world, like Feder Ho, uh, Alex Fox, and I don't know, Matthias Eibinger, and all those guys was just walking in front of me, and Dominic Nietzsche and all those guys. I was thinking,
Adrian
like,
Mateos,
this,
Amirovic. Yeah,
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 Michael Adamo and all those. I was
yeah,
thinking, yeah, like this makes sense. You know, they're walking in front of me and I'm still behind them. But one day I will catch up to them. I just said to myself, one day I will catch up to these guys.
yeah.
And yeah, it was cool. And then I played with Ben for the very first time. He came out and played, and he played a 50K with the same table.
Who's that? Ben Heath?
No, Ben CB.
Oh, Ben, yeah, Ben. He's been already been in the scene and crushing. Yeah, Ben live, exactly. Yeah, Ben.
Yeah, it was pretty
That's
cool
it. I mean,
playing with him for the
look at this
first.
final table. Sam Saverall, Michael Adamo, maybe playing the best in the world right now, or one of them.
Yeah.
Adrian Mateos, like that guy. I mean, talk about impressive. Adrian Mateos just seems like he's just on another
No,
level.
I'm so happy for him. I am extremely happy for him because like uh we're kind of the younger ones
Yeah,
of this generation, right? So I've always been aware of him, and we've known each other, but not we've never been close. But I'm the chit chat guy that kind of get the table less serious, and so I'm usually friendly with a lot of the pros, and yeah, and I was aware he was on a downswing from himself and also from staking, so I was extremely happy to see him come through and just start blasting scores again. He's obviously one of the very good ones, and yeah, I'm happy, extremely happy for him.
it's awesome. And I'm kind of looking here too. Again, your scores, maybe the buy-ins start just getting bigger in general, right? Your overall just then there's a $1.6 million score, and then 100K you play hit $1 million score. Again, Sam Grafton getting his big one. This tough fields. Collie Burns playing some of the best poker in the world. But I mean, it's in a way, it seems like you're having great success. The buy-ins are very high. Do you feel pressure ever because it's so like one of those things, you're in the zone, things are going well, you're having scores, but you're also playing big buy-ins. I mean, the stakes are high. Guys like you mentioned, Mateos, guys, some of the best in the world, they go on downswings. You see, they cashed for 4 million this year, but what were their buy-ins? And do you ever feel kind of pressure at this level to perform, or you just kind of like go with it? And have you experienced any downswings that concerned you? Did you ever think about giving up poker or stopping, or have you just kind of, I mean, you're so fresh into this upswing, if you will, into the high stakes. I guess maybe you haven't really experienced too much adversity based on the scores we see, but
Yeah.
have you had any downswing concerning moments, or had to deal with that mentally?
Mm, I think I had a downswing when I was in like micro stakes, and then since then I've not been completely aware of it. But I'm the kind of guy that believes in moan it in. Like I would start complaining when I even though I'm not on a downswing, but maybe I've bricked like I don't know what 6, 7 tournaments without cashing, which is completely normal. People should know that. Okay, it's completely normal. But I would start complaining and trying to moan it
Yeah.
in. Just moan it in.
Sure, we're all guilty of it. It's sick, right? If you start complaining about bad beats and things, and we all take it. And honestly, sometimes when you lose with aces on the river and dramatic rounds, you just got to realize like that happens all the time. People are dealing with this every tournament. Everyone has it. It just feels sometimes like, it's the world's conspiring against me, right? But really,
Yeah.
you got to remember that's just not the case. Just math and it's variance and
Absolutely.
so.
And in terms of have I ever thought about quitting and stuff like that? I've not really. Obviously, I'm extremely fresh in this part of the states of the world, and I talk to some of my close buddies, like the likes of like Michael Soizer, Cale Burns. Cale Burns gives me a lot of confidence. Because like I always, even though I'm doing well in these stakes, I'm aware. I feel like I'm not good enough compared to some of these guys. And then we've always had this conversation where he would say like, "Am I actually making money in this tournament? Am I making money in that tournament?" And etc. etc. I'm not saying that I'm comparing myself to other people, but I want to be fully aware. Am I making EV at all, or am I actually minus EV? And he's been kind enough that I feel like he's telling me the truth. We have a lot of these deep conversations, and
Yeah.
again, he's another guy who's absolutely crushing it right now. So I'm extremely happy for him also.
Yeah, no, I got to catch up at Nottingham at Dust Till Dawn. We did some content together. He's going to be on the podcast as well, and seems like a really guy's head on his shoulders straight and just crushing absolutely everything. And also kind of showed me a couple little things where he was talking about some spots that I thought were interesting. And it goes to show you, it's like when you see people just constantly delivering at the biggest stage, it's like they realize the game changes, or there's some things maybe that are new or you're not aware of that can make a big difference. It's interesting to see and talk poker with the best. It's good to have, right? That's one of the better ways. Studying's great, but it's also to have access to world-class players that you can bounce stuff off of is very valuable. What do you
Absolutely.
think? What would you say if you were to look at the top 5, 10 players in the world right now currently, or just, you could take the top 25, 30, 50 at some point. There's not too much difference. What do you think some of the stuff that they're doing, that you're doing, or that that's going on, whether it's PO Solver or other things, that are they just, is that the difference? People that are really putting the work in to study and go in, or what would attribute to what the top players in the world right now, what's going on with them? I mean, and you're in
think
that
they're
field.
extremely, like, they want to learn, and they want to try new things. I think there are different players in the group where some of us are just following what the top tiers are doing, and eventually we get to know what they're doing, and then we follow. But there are some players who would be creating new strategies, or like making new strategy to adapt to something that the mass majority is doing.
Right.
And I feel like that separates a little bit away from them to us, to be honest.
Understanding population tendencies and whatnot.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Like,
right.
Honestly, it almost feels like they would change their complete lifestyle just for poker. Almost.
Right. All right. Well, so we looked through your very young and impressive Hendon Mob, already up over 8.4 million. Do you goal set? Do you follow along? You're currently the top. Is that the highest ranking you've had? 25 in the world in the GPI, or is this
no?
one?
I know it's been higher. I think it was like 12 or something. But I've not played a single tournament this year, so my ranking is dropping a lot.
Yeah. And is this something you keep an eye on? Does this interest you? Are you motivated by these type of things to like reach number one, or certain money goals? Do you do that type of stuff, or just kind of go with the flow, or do you actually eye on this?
I was definitely trying to. I think I forgot what my peak was, maybe 12 or 13th, and then player of the year I was also very high at one point, maybe 9th or something. But at one point, like, it's extremely hard to chase these things. You cannot miss a single stop. Like, you would have to be in a suitcase the whole year. Like, almost. I see the likes of like Manic. I think Manic almost goes to all of them. And also Ariango. He almost lives in a hotel always. He never goes home also. And yeah, like, these guys are extremely hardworking, and these rankings are, it's like a report where to prove yourself. Yeah, okay, some of these things are paying off, but and then my career sort of twisted a little bit. I've had access to some of these like app games, cash games, where I no longer prioritize these ranking anymore, and it's about making some real money now.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, listen, I was messaging you at 5 a.m. I was out, and at cash games are, you don't get the glory, but a lot of times that's where the meat of it is. And if you're fortunate enough to have good networks and people, and be able to play in games where people want to play with you and have fun with you, and are willing to not to set aside the fact that you're a pro, or that you're going to have an advantage, but they like you, and they also just that's amazing. And that's part of all of it. And people may frown upon whatever, but the reality is, if you're yourself, if you're trying your best, and you're young, outgoing, happy-go-lucky guy who's positive, that you're going to get some of these extra opportunities. Which is it's
funny, like, I remember I was having this conversation just the other day while I was at Bali. When I was coming up the ranks, I was working so hard to let the world know who I am. To get your name out there, just so eventually someone would be interested in you, and like get like just to get your network going. And now I'm like up here. I don't want my name to be out there anymore. You want to be discreet. You don't want, because VIPs don't want to play against the best in the world, unless you're like, I don't know, Tom or Phil Ivey. Ask them if they want to sit down with, like, I don't know, Sam Greenwood and play heads up cash game with him. They would never want that,
Right.
So
exactly.
It's the other way around now,
It's a fine line between crossing over to like a point where it's like almost like, Antonio made a good point. And it's true. It's like, the more tournament results and scores you have, the less people want to play in private games or have you around. Now, of course, if you're friends with the people that at the highest stakes and levels, and they like you, and they don't mind, battling and giving some action, and you're fun, and you're a good sport, right? It's like, that's the thing you got to realize. Like, It's not a right. It's a privilege to be able to play those type of games. You want to be a good loser when you lose. You want to be a good sport. You want to have fun. You want to give action, and you want to make it where it's not predatorial. And that's it's part of the whole deal. What is the biggest cash game you've ever played? Blinds, USA dollars wise, like small blind, big blind.
I think it's 20K, 40K Hong Kong. So it's like 2.5K, 5K US. I think so.
Game. It's got me. That is nosebleeds. That's in the nosebleeds category. I see some people in the chat say, "What's up, guys? Hey, yeah, we're having fun. We're gonna take questions. So if you want, we're gonna shoot over. We're gonna try to rapid fire these out. Danny is in London. I'm in Miami. I'm gonna be joining Danny on a flight. We're going to Sochi. He's gonna be playing. I'm gonna be commentating. And right now we are gonna knock out some questions again. Danny Tang, rising to the highest of stakes in a very rapid amount of time, really inspiring and exciting. You guys can follow along with Danny on Twitter and Instagram. Anywhere else that you push action, you're ambassador for Natural 8. Any other sites to keep an eye on you, or are these basically Twitter, Instagram that you like to
I'm more of a Facebook guy compared to Twitter. I don't know why my Twitter just never goes up.
All right. Well, yeah. So add him on Facebook as well. But we'll take some questions here, and we'll run through these. So, Danny, I'm gonna go ahead. Can you see my screen, or is it too small for you on your phone when I do this? You can't really see that, can you?
Tiny.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I'll read them out.
Sorry, buddy. Thank you.
No worries. I'll read it out. Who was your favorite pro to watch growing up?
I was a Tom Don guy. Yeah, I think I was a Tom Don guy. You know, where he was just blasting off 2-7 and just his stare down. He's like, yeah. But I've been hanging out with him quite a bit recently, and it's cool. You know when you like, what's that line where you're a fan and then you become a rival. I'm not really a rival with him. But we play sometimes. We're in the same game pretty much. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Who are the top 3 players today? Let's just say tournament players. Who would you give me? List off 3 that come to mind. There's a
today right now.
Yeah, just give me 3 guys that are like top of the game. And
Michael Adamo, Sam Greenwood, and it's close. It's very, very close. I'm gonna give it to Timothy Adams right now, just because he's killing it right now as well.
What do you think? What goes? I mean, at some point running, right, you're winning flips, you're playing at the end. Tournaments are very tricky, but what do you think? I guess Dvorak too. Daniel Dvorak seems to be on a sick heater as well. What do you think you would attribute that to? Like a Michael Adamo, who I keep hearing that name and obviously his results, but what exactly makes them so special to separate from the highest of high rollers and the crushers? What makes you think those names? What do you think they do well?
How did I not put Stevie in there? I'm crazy.
Oh, yeah, Stephen Chidwick. Yeah, I mean, so again, you could keep going, and the next names you'd rattle off, you could slide in at any point. So, I mean, what do you think makes those guys and just so good? What are the intangibles? What are the attributes that make them so dangerous?
Personally, I only put them in that category is because of the spots that they usually put me in. Like usually I'm like, I feel like it's back and forth. Whereas against these guys, it's usually like 80-20,
They're just like making you scratch your head. Like you're like, wow, like I have no idea. They're using like the max. They're just taking every
like again.
Yeah.
Like again, really? Again?
Yeah.
So
wow. Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes a ton of sense. We got some language stuff, some can't make out. Any cool stories with Natural 8? What is your partnership? How is it? And how long have you been with them now?
Since the summer, so I don't know how long is that, like 7 months, 8 months. All right. I just want to say, like, they gave a lot of freedom to us ambassadors. They have been extremely supportive. Everything like things that I would suggest, they would just try to get it done. They give a lot of freedoms to us. So yeah.
That's awesome. No, it's nice. I mean, that's how I feel at party. It's nice to not feel stressed or pressure. You can't do this or don't play here or whatever. It's very nice. What about Kitty Quo? She's a great Twitter follow, a lot of fun. She's on your team. What do you have to say about Kitty? She just seems to love and embrace poker so much.
She's just a character herself, isn't she? You
Yes.
know, like I really hope that she wins the Twitter personality of the year. I voted for her. I suggested a lot of people to vote for her. She's again. I used to be a fan. You know, just oh my God, it's Kitty Quo. And eventually, I had dinner with her. I had meetings with her, and now we're good friends. We're in the same team. It's pretty cool. She's supposed to be where she is right now, but I don't understand. She's been married to Russell for that many years. Her English is supposed to be better.
Right. Well, listen, I'll back up Kitty. I'm married to my lovely, supportive, beautiful wife, Amelia, and my Portuguese should be better. And we have a baby boy now. I'm hoping to learn with him, but I it happens, bro. We got to learn poker first, right? It's like study.
No, but that's different, bro. That's different. I'm sure you can communicate English with your wife, right?
No, she speaks great English, but I'm just saying it's like
there you go. Whereas Russell doesn't speak Chinese at all.
Well, they just got love. They got love. That's enough. Biggest online poker score?
Oh, not a lot. Like it was that one that I told you, the main event on Natural 8. Yeah, like 85K or something like that. Yeah, something like that.
True live pro. You're a true live pro. What's your most memorable moment in poker?
I mean, it has to be winning the bracelet and having aces on the bubble where, I think anyone can go back and rewatch the video where I had aces against kings against ace king on the Stone Cold bubble of the 100K. You know, if had I got beaten in that hand, my career could be totally different right now, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, there's moments like that. There are moments or difference, not even just because of that moment, but because of what happened. You hit that huge score or you just are out or bubble and might be like, it is true. There's definitely.
And I'm also so thankful because there was a hand where I had pocket eights against Jungleman's pocket jacks, and he kind of like nit rolled at me a little bit. Like he had jacks, and I must have had like 20 odd big blinds, and he was asking for a count before he called. I free bet jam, and I ended up having quads against him. It was sick. We both flopped the set, and I had a quads against him. Okay.
Wow.
And yeah, there was a video of like people watching back at home, like at the Poker Association office, like, and then everyone was celebrating, and that video was like priceless, you know.
That's awesome. That's very cool. I love Jungle, one of my favorites. But sometimes you just got to get there. 8, your natural 8, you're gonna get natural quads with 8s. That feels right. Feels right. Favorite variant of poker? Short deck, long. What's your? Maybe that's not your favorite, right? That's what you play the most, but you're still a no limit guy, right? As you said. Is that true?
It's close. It's very close. I think after a while you get really hooked on short deck. You know, after you get through the phase where you're super frustrated, like how did I lose again? And you're like 8 buy-ins in, you're 8 buy-ins in, and what's going on? But then at the end of the session, you're up 20 buy-ins. You're like, oh yeah, this game works,
Right. All right, we did answer this earlier. What is the difference between the super high stakes and normal stakes? We did that. Do you have a special routine before a big tournament or session? I do want to focus on that. You said you late reg the 100K, that one you had the huge score. Is there a method to your madness? Are you like, I need 8 hours of sleep, or I want to wake up, get to the gym, or do you just kind of go with how the day comes when you play tournaments?
I try to dress comfortably, I think 2018 and then 2019 I had a jacket for each year, but 2020 not yet. I'm still deciding. 2018 I had a Helly Hansen. It was kind of funny. And then 2019 I had a Adidas. I'm sure you'll see it a lot on my Instagram. I had an Adidas where it would cover my pulse. Like it was really good. And I need one for 2020, ready for Sochi, All
right. Well, yeah. You don't have much time to sort that out. It's coming up. Speaking of attire, what did you make of Bryn Kinney? I was funny because I was there before it started and talking with everyone, and Bryn had actually a designed custom outfit, and Bill Perkins was giving him a hard time, like, come on, man, it's like a uniform. Like if the PGA, the Masters, you don't wear, you can't just like wear what you want, but it was a custom outfit piece that was pretty sick. But what are your thoughts on that? Is that something? Was there any talk about that in the community at that level? Because I actually thought it was interesting because he got a little bit of a hard time. He wins the event as well, which is pretty gangster. And you know, he didn't wear like the suggested attire, if you will.
Oh, you mean for the Triton Million, right?
In final table.
Yeah, like I wasn't really aware of that, but I didn't honestly expect Bryn to be rocking up in a suit anyway, to be honest.
Right.
I couldn't really imagine him in a suit.
It was a custom piece, to be fair. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know if that was, you know, I just thought of it because we're speaking of the attire and whatnot. What is the feeling to be the most successful poker player from Hong Kong, from Perot Tantsev? It's quite a statement. Is that Hen Mob? Are you the number one in Hong Kong?
Yeah, I'm currently the number one in Hong Kong, and yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy. Like when I first moved back to Hong Kong and changed my flag from UK to Hong Kong, I had my goal of setting to become the number one all-time money on Hong Kong, and yeah, and I don't want to sound arrogant or anything, but yeah, I plan on staying there, and I would like to be, you know, at the top for a long, long time.
Who do you got? Who's in your rear view? Who are you looking out that can pass you at any time right now?
Who's the number two guy?
Hold up, I'll give it for you. Let's see, maybe you got a distance there.
Stanley Choi, right?
Yeah, Winford Yu also very talented and exciting to watch. So yeah, there's some guys right there. And I mean, at the highest stakes, right? It happens in a day. It's like, all right, Triton, someone wins the main event or hits like a good score. It can move, but
as long as they don't randomly start throwing out a lot of million events, you know, I'm confident. I'm very confident. Otherwise, if you know, Stanley just starts playing like a couple of 1 million events and then end up min cashing and just surpass me, then I have some work to do, right?
For sure. What's your favorite hand? Not aces, but what's your favorite? Give me like a fun hand that you like.
I think it has to be pocket eights now, you know.
Yep, that makes sense.
I think it has to be pocket eights. So,
which circuit do you like the most? Live circuit.
It has to be Triton, you know. Like Triton just does everything right, you know. Like how can you false them? Who can false them?
That's on a tee. I think that one's on a tee. All right, so we're getting a lot of great questions. Favorite poker hand? What about why did you choose Adidas?
Interesting. I don't know. I don't know. I have always liked Adidas original. It has to be original as well. I like the shape of it. You know, I've always thought one day would Adidas like ever. I thought like could I approach Adidas and be like get some free items just because I'm on stream or like on photos whatever. Right. But I didn't get around to it eventually. But yeah, Adidas. Yeah, Adidas. I like Adidas original.
What's your favorite place you have visited? Not necessarily for poker, but or both, poker trip and otherwise.
Okay. Santorini was extremely nice. I went there last year with my girlfriend. That was beautiful. The sea was next level, but the food, it was so. And also this year I went to Jakarta, where I went out to one of Ferdinand, my friend Ferdinand. He took me to like one of his islands, and we went jet skiing, and that was like one like around the island. That was beautiful. Like it was the most fun I've ever had jet skiing. And look at it, you can still see the timeline, right?
You got some sun out there. Yeah, I've heard good things about Ferdinand in that area. I have a friend that went out there as well.
Super nice guy. Nice guy.
That's awesome. Best tips for someone who wants to go pro.
Don't quit your job until you are sure you can do this. Make sure you have a good group of friends who are in a similar state of mind and be motivated, be ready to get hit back down. You know, don't give up easily. Make sure you study a lot. Make sure you follow your bankroll management. But yeah, I wouldn't quit your job because, like,
sure.
Yeah,
Great advice. I'm right there with you. Have you ever been robbed? We did hear about your car earlier.
Yes. That was the main one that I remember, I think. I hope I don't again.
Yeah. What do you think is the best about playing poker for a living?
The freedom. It has to be freedom. Look at it, like what day is it today? I don't even know what day is it
Yeah.
today.
What
It's
day,
a Wednesday afternoon, and I just get to
yeah,
chat to
you
my
might
good
not even
friend
be able to get the
Blaine.
month right if you really, unless you, if you pause, you'd have to probably pause for a second just because it turned over. But for sure, I love it's like that. Yeah, exactly. What day is it? Where are you? And that's a good sign. If you're thinking like that,
Yeah,
it doesn't mean you're unobservant. It means that you're just kind of blended. You're not
yeah.
you're enjoying. Do you
I
prefer,
was messaging my friend who's in Manchester. I was like, "Is there anything to do? If there's anything to do, I would come up." He's like, "Bro, it's a Monday." Like I'm like, "What? What do you mean? Like Monday is like any other day of the week, you know?"
Yeah. Yeah. Um, let's see. Some great questions here. Hold'em or short deck? You got to pick one to play.
Short deck.
Do you think online poker is dying?
I don't play enough to comment. I
Fair
like
enough.
these like fast questions, you know, like pick this or that. I love it.
Favorite
I could do
city?
this all day.
Favorite city? Yeah, me too. We
Ooh,
a lot of questions here.
favorite city? This is tough. Hong Kong,
I still haven't been. I've only been through the airport, passing back from
Tokyo. I
Macau.
like Tokyo a lot as well. I like Tokyo a lot.
I was, man, those are like two of the cities I want to go to the most that I haven't been. And I was supposed to be in Tokyo right now, actually, on my way to Sochi, but then the Korea trip got postponed. And it was just I've actually supposed to go to Tokyo twice, and both times, like literally right before I left, I couldn't go. Like super random, different things. But yeah, I've Tokyo. I haven't been, which that hurts because I just hear how great a city is. Do you play any Omaha tournaments? Some PLO?
I actually do. I played every year during the World Series. I played a 1K and a 2K usually. That's it.
Yep.
I'm very sensible now that even though that now that I can play these 10K or 25K, I'm absolutely aware I'm not good enough for them. So no.
Which I don't know about it's true, man. I think 10K and the 25K PLO is great events at the World Series, but I mean it's one of those. It is what it is. PLO tournaments, there is some different thinking and thought process, but what are your parents? We asked this about playing for a living. What do they think? Your family in general, like, would you say the family, uncles, cousins, your brother, everyone? What's the overall consensus? Like, was it now? I'm sure they're like, okay, this is real, but were they worried when you started? When you're like, oh, I'm kind of playing pro?
So I'll try to cut the story short, right? So when I went back so my mum thought I was just studying masters in UK, and then after the second place for 130K, I went back to Hong Kong, showed up at her doorstep. She saw me, she burst into tears. She was like, "What have you done? Did you do something really bad? Like that's why you come running back to Hong Kong?" Like, and I'm like, "No, mum, but yeah, I'm gonna be a professional poker player." And then she cried even more, and I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry. I'm this will happen. Trust me." And obviously now everyone are extremely happy for me. They don't really understand, you know. Anything when it comes to gambling, they would assume I'm very good at, you know. Like so during Chinese New Year, like the family likes to play some card games, some mahjong games, and they would not welcome me into the game just because they would think that I would just crush them
When is
because it's a
what
gambling
is
game.
the actual date of Chinese New Year?
I think this year was the 26th of January.
So it's around that same time. And why is it not? Why is it the Chinese New Year? Why is it not on like New Year's Eve as the New Year? What
I have no idea,
really?
bro. I
Either.
grew
I
up in
just saw
UK.
that. I was like, I should know that. I don't know actually. That makes no idea. I also see I have some notes here that she gives you some advice saying make sure you're drinking a lot of water, make sure you get enough sleep, make sure you hide your emotions, don't let your opponents read you. And that you said, Mom, I'm a professional poker player. I'm gonna be having a poker face a lot of the time, but she doesn't really understand and she just cares for me and wants to make sure you're okay. I think that was from an
Yeah,
article, so that's
yeah.
pretty cool. You
And
know?
now she's just telling me to wash my hands a lot, make
Yeah.
sure I wear a mask. You know, it's what parents do, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, would you say like, are you making a lot of adjustments when you're deep in a tournament? Someone's asking, how do you handle bad beats from range? Do you shift the play style? Do you open it up and your ranges? Like, would you say you're good? You said you're more of a field player, used to be at least. How do you use that to your advantage? Are you really good at seeing the situation and just shifting gears, or do you pretty much have like a game plan? Okay, I have this many big blinds. The cutoff opens. I'm going to jam these hands, or do you make like a lot of feel adjustments based on player styles and such?
I think so. I mean, when it comes to like the European side or the Western side in general, there's not that much adjustment. I feel like people, or majority of us, try to play along the line when it comes to pre-flop, but it's post-flop that you have to adjust sometimes. But whereas again, some of these Asian pros, the likes of like Tan Xuan, the likes of like Ivan Liao, you have to
those
just
guys are
adjust a
fun to
little
watch.
bit, you know.
Those two names in particular are like those guys are just fun. Like the laydowns they make, the plays they make. That's fun, man. It's fun. I can't wait for the Sochi event.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the Tritons. They're just like
I was with
really good.
Ivan last week, and he's telling me how much he's improved. So I'm very excited to see Ivan 2.0 in Sochi.
Okay. What's your name on PokerStars and Party Poker? Or do you not share?
Party Poker, I don't even know, but
you got a new name,
PokerStars,
new HUD.
I think it's Rectangle on PokerStars. I think it's been a while since I logged in.
Right. All right. Fair enough. How did you feel leading up to your first high stakes tournament? Like consider, I don't know, 25, 50K, like the first one you played. What was that like jumping up into that? Were you nervous, excited, or a little everything?
I did a lot of messagings. I think if I remember right, I was in Macau. So I did a lot of messagings. I was excited. I wouldn't say nervous because I remember I chose that one to play. It was because it was in Macau. There was obviously a lot of Chinese VIP on the table.
Right.
The only downside was it was a single day, and at the time, my turbo and like my short stacks and ICM was maybe not the strongest part of my game at the time. So, but yeah, I mixed emotions. Definitely happy to play, and I think I cash as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was it like playing with Tom and Phil Ivey? I playing with some of your hero guys you grew up with, and now you're playing some big cash games or tournaments with. What's that like?
Awesome. Like obviously, I grew up being a fan of those guys, and now getting to know them personally, it's pretty cool. They're definitely really, really nice guys, and yeah, like I knew they were huge, but I didn't realize how big they were. I remember being at the airport in Japan, and it was like me, Rukao, and Tom Don, and obviously me and Rukao are not exactly like nobodies. And I remember people would come up and just ask Tom alone for a photo, like just in a random Japan airport. Like that's how big he really is. And then they would not be aware of me and Rukao at all.
Right.
Like that's how big they really are. Like we would turn up to Lithuania Casino, and the whole casino would be gobsmacked. There's like a small poker room at Lithuania where we went with Tony G. Tony G showed us.
Yeah. Someone was asking how was that trip with those guys? How was that experience there?
Oh, that was really cool. And then we played a short game. I won a little bit of money. We played short deck Omaha on the flight, and I was already.
I've never even heard that.
Yeah, there's gonna be some new games being introduced soon.
That's a sick game, actually. That's got to be wild action, right? People are making straight flushes and full houses like left and right.
Yeah, like soon I got out of the way. Like I was already bad at Omaha, and shot at Omaha I had even less of an idea. Like it feels like every hand is good, for me.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm trying to think as well. That's got to be. That's actually. Yeah. That's kind of, I mean, that's the thing about poker. I just don't think it's going anywhere, right? Because it's like anytime no limit hold'em, they say it's solved or whatever. Like, yeah, okay, well now the game's short deck. Now it's 5-card PLO. Now it's short deck PLO, which just sounds mental. I gotta.
I'm trying to say for track. That's how good Triton is doing the job. Like not only are they doing great production for the audience, they're also creating new games. Like look at this short deck thing. Short deck's having a massive boom. So I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if one day there was like a short deck WSOP main event.
Right. Yeah.
One day.
Exactly. No question about it. I mean, Triton's brand and their powers, it's growing fast. It's exciting stuff for sure.
And they're doing all this not for money as well. It's for good cause.
That's the best part, for sure. They're doing it because they love it. It's probably even net loser based on how much they're spending on the production, the value.
Yeah.
All the stuff they're doing. It's like they're doing it to promote the game. It's huge.
Yeah.
What would you be doing if you were not playing poker?
Oh God. Oh man, I would be something into sales. I think I'm a pretty chatty guy, pretty good at networking. So like insurance or sales, I think.
makes a ton of sense. I'm with you on that. And speaking of networking and relationships, I also feel like I love to talk. I have a podcast. I stream on Twitch. What would be some advice for maybe people? Because I think it's funny because sometimes you can even get pushed or like put in the wrong category, like trying to do too much or you're trying to whatever. But like at the end of the day, if you're personable, if you like people, if you want to learn, if you're a good person and you do your best, I think that's all you can really do, right? And it's like at that point, things happen or they don't. Any advice or something in terms of sort of, I don't want to say networking or putting yourself out there and trying to, like you said, you reached out to numerous poker players, just send them messages and hope they respond. I mean, I get messages from people all the time. Sometimes I respond, sometimes I don't, based on time or how the message comes across or what it is, right? If you're like, you send a message, hey bro, will you stake me? Like, next, like I'm not going to look at you, but if like there's some kind of context or meaning or message or connection and you want to, I'll respond when I can on stuff. And I'm sure you get messages all the time, right? So it's not just like, you just kind of,
I think,
how do we give some advice?
I think you just have to be ready to give before you take, and when you really want something and if you keep going, I feel like eventually it will happen. Like the Dan Coleman and the Olivier Busquet story. I had this story in Hong Kong with someone, where they just keep private messaging, and eventually the other guy really did reply and really start teaching him and staking him, and he really moved up, and now he's one of the best players in Hong Kong when it comes to cash games. So yeah, like you just have to be, just don't be shy and just do it for good purposes, do it with a good heart. I think people can feel it, be ready to give. Not only you don't want to just try to take, yeah.
I think that's great advice. All right, let's take one more question here. Someone saying, do you remember a one hand I beat you at 235? And do you think that's what made you absolute beast? Okay, so that's not really a question. Who knows what he's even talking about? Some tournament.
No, wait. I actually saw this on Twitter because I actually had a quick flick through, and I know this guy, right? And I just want to say to him, he's done very well for himself.
This guy,
he's
right?
Done very well. Yes, he's done very well for himself.
All right.
He lost a lot of weight.
235. Oh, when I beat you at $235 tournament, or
no? It was 235 was the local casino that I used to play at.
And
we used to play. I still remember him, and those guys that supported me from the beginning, I remember all of them.
Okay. Excuse me. Got to get some sleep. I'm going to sleep on the plane over, man. Hopefully get some rest. This is going to be a long trip. But last question. What about countries? Let's just say, stereotypically the Brazilians are kind of wild or this or that. Any countries you feel are like pound for pound the toughest around? Give me like a country or two that you just think like those guys are great. Or if you see them at a table and let's say you don't know who they are, but you're like, oh, they're from here, they're probably pretty good. Any countries that stand out to you? Or do you not really think like that?
Okay, I'm gonna separate this into two, okay?
Okay.
What you just said, if I don't know where they're from, and if they told me they're from Germany, I would assume they're pretty good.
Okay.
Or if I don't know where they're from, I don't know who they are, and they're from Russia, I would assume they're pretty aggressive.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
But if I know them, I would. It used to be the German domination, right? But now I would say that Americans are probably have the best Americans probably caught up, and they're very, very good. Like it's kind of strange, because like each country has like a couple of very, very strong players. Like for example, Spain, it has Adrian, Sergio, and then there's two more, Sergey, and then when it comes to Australia, it's like Adamo, Cale Burns, like.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. It's just more Germany has more overall better players, right. And also America when it comes to high stake has a lot of strong players as well.
For sure. I just saw this yesterday. Actually, you saw this the 25K 10 million November 13th to 17th at Baha Mar for Party Poker. Did you catch that? 10 mil 25K.
No, I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
That's gonna be pretty spicy. Do you hit those? Do you hit the Bahamas ones?
I went to Bahamas twice last year, and Yeah, one the poker style one I did pretty good. The party poker one I did really bad.
All right, you get to redeem yourself this year at Party Poker. I'll be there. I
Definitely.
think you will too. Come check me in Miami on your way. And Danny, we're gonna do a random tweet giveaway, $55 ticket on your command to close down the podcast. Tell me when, and someone's gonna win a $55 Party Poker ticket. Tell me when.
Now.
Boom. Put some thought into it. And we have a winner. Alexi Lafa is going to win it. And courtesy of Danny and Party Poker. Danny, of course, sponsored by Natural 8. But, you know, it's all one community. We push it out there. Hopefully do well with this ticket. We'll send you the info to get us that. And Danny, you were supposed to be our 50th podcast guest. You won your 50th at the 50th World Series, your bracelet. And we had a cancellation, what's the word? A delay, a postponement. So you're 49th on the podcast. I really appreciate the time, man. It's always great to chat. I look forward to sharing a jet with you to Sochi, and we can chat some more, maybe play a little bit of teach me some short deck. I'll give me a little action in PLO. I'll give you a little action in short deck. We'll have some fun and make some memories over in Sochi.
You know what? Now that you just said we're one big community, right? I'm gonna give him a bonus right now. Tell that guy that the random winner, right? He's gonna have a Sunday main event ticket on Natural 8 from me as well.
Wow. Let's get that username. And what else? Which other one? All right. What was the Sunday Natural 8? What are you giving?
He's gonna have a Sunday main event ticket.
And how much is that?
I actually have no idea, but we'll tell him to get in touch with either myself on Twitter or Natural 8, and I'll let him know.
All right, I love it. I love that. I love the generosity. There's been some of that parlaying. The 55s have snowballed. Matt Savage, Luke Schwartz, some other guys deciding to add on to the thing, man. It's abundance, right, Danny? We live in abundance, and it's I've had a couple messages on some tickets and giveaways where people get a good score, a final table, or a close deep run, and it just it changes so quickly. That's what's exciting about tournaments. One run, you're in your own control. There's some luck, of course, but you actually click buttons, control your destiny, and you can change in the second. You can really take it up from zero to hero. So, Danny, appreciate the time, man. Can't wait to see you tomorrow in London, and we'll be off to Sochi, man. So look forward to it. Sure. Thanks again, and
thank you for having me, buddy.
Cheers, man. Enjoy your day.
Cheers.
All right, guys. Danny Tang, give him a follow. Instagram, Twitter, all the socials. Very impressive career. Young, bright star, humble, and merging. So keep an eye on him and give him a follow. And again, thanks to Danny, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Okay.